Guys, I promise y'all, I am not trying to just harp on Chicago. And I have stayed away from doing videos about Chicago. Oh, I've been seeing the stuff that's been going on. But I know it seems like I'm being just unfairly harsh to certain areas, kind of like how I do with Cuyahoga County, Cleveland, Ohio, some of these other places. But I have to call out the things that I see. And I'm going to tell you guys this. To these women who lost their life, maybe my message is actually getting out there because I believe that their actions followed something that I've been preaching about for a long time. And I want y'all to hear this story out of Chicago about how these people lost their life on yet another holiday behind some idiots. Let me give you guys the fair warning about my content. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. And I'm getting my information from an interesting website. It's called Block, BLOCK, Club, COUB, Chicago.org. So thank you for the article. I thought their article was pretty comprehensive. I looked at a few. At least 11 people were killed. 11 human beings were killed and 5 human beings were wounded in shootings over the 4th of July holiday in Chicago. And I'm not going to lie, earlier this week I said to myself, I was thinking just randomly, I said, I bet you Chicago is going to have a whole bunch of bull crap going on. And guess what? It didn't fail me. So if we talk about Black Lives Matter, and shout out to anybody that's a part of Black Lives Matter. I love all of you guys. But I continue to keep calling out the phrase, not always the organization, but the phrase of Black Lives Matter. If it matters, then why is it that it always looks like faces who are Black lives are taking the most Black lives, and that there is no vitriol, there are no marches, there's no outrage about the Black lives that are being taken every day, every holiday, every month, every week, every year, and nobody bats an eye, that it can take you 9 months to create a life, and you look up and 11 lives have been lost in a day, and that's a normal week, that's a normal holiday. This is so normal. Among those killed were 2 women, which we're going to focus on today for a very specific reason, and an 8-year-old boy, you can see was on life support and did not survive, in a shooting, or let me take that back. Let me read the report. Let me take that back just for a second. And an 8-year-old boy in a shooting in the Greater Grand Crossing neighborhood, one of 3 separate mass shootings, one of 3 separate mass shootings that happened between Thursday and early Friday, according to police. At about 6:15 a.m., early in the morning, Thursday, police responded to a shot spotter detection alert. What the hell is a shot spotter detection alert? In the 7100 block of South Woodlawn, where they found 5 family members shot, 2 women and 3 boys in a home, according to police and media reports. Police immediately provided aid, according to an initial police report. A 45-year-old woman was pronounced dead at the scene, and a 24-year-old woman died at the University of Chicago Hospital, according to police. The women were identified by the family as Nakesia Strong, Nakeeeshia Strong, 45 years old, which is this lady, 45 years old, and Caprice Edwards, who was 24 years old. And that's the woman on the right. But I don't know if I have a separate picture of her, but that's the woman on the right. And Strong was Edward's aunt. Both were mothers, and family said that Edwards died while shielding her 1-year-old child from the shooting. So Caprice Edwards, 24 years old, was shielding her 1-year-old child from the shooting. 3 boys, ages 5, 8, and 8, were taken to Comer Children's Hospital, where one of the 8-year-olds was pronounced dead Thursday night, police said. The other boys are in critical condition, so we're going to pray that they survive. We're going to pray that they survive. The 8-year-old who was killed was identified as Bryson Orr, O-R-R, which was this young man. And I'm telling y'all, this hurts my heart to see this handsome young man lose his life. Good looking young man. 8 years just wasn't enough. Dressed good, handsome looking young man. That's heartbreaking. But what's really going to bother y'all is what I'm about to say here in a minute, so y'all might want to brace yourselves. The children wounded, Edwards and Orr, belonged to strong, family members told WGN. Police and family members said multiple shooters had opened fire and the shootings might have stemmed from a personal dispute. The shooters fled the scene. So somebody said something they didn't like, maybe dissed they set, talked about how little their dick was, or talked about how ugly their baby mama was, or talked about how we gonna get you got. I don't know what it was. What possibly could you have said to justify this? For people to die, what did you say? Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can get your whole family killed? Is it the music? Is it the mentality? Is it the area? Is it the water? I'm going to talk about the mother that shielded her children, that shielded her child. We're going to get to that here in a second. I'm going to skip who was this, the mayor? I don't even need to read what he said. They said this stemmed from a personal dispute. At about 1:45 a.m. Friday, police responded to shots fired on the 1300 block of West Hastings Street in Little Italy, where they found 8 people wounded after 2 people exchanged gunfire. The 2 shooters fled the scene. They just shooting at anything and everything. A 74-year-old woman was shot in the leg. God damn. Oh my goodness. Shooting kids and old grandmothers, great-grandmothers. A 74-year-old woman was shot in the leg. A 31-year-old woman was shot in the leg. A 23-year-old man was shot in the leg. You could tell, Kane, none of these people got no aim at all. We'll get to the guns here in a second. I'm going to piss you off with that too. We'll get to the guns here in a second. A 28-year-old man was shot twice in the leg. A 36-year-old man was shot in the groin, and an 18-year-old woman suffered a graze wound to the head. All were transported to Stronger and are in fair to good condition, police said. A 18-year-old woman suffered a graze wound to the knee, and a 19-year-old woman suffered a graze wound to the back, and both refused medical attention. Less than 2 hours later, at about 1:45 a.m. Friday, officers responded to calls of a person shot in the 100 block of South Menard Avenue in Austin. When they arrived, they found 6 people wounded after 2 people exchanged gunfire and fled the scene. I'm going to just keep reading the rest of this. This don't even sound real, does it? A 15-year-old boy was shot in the back, and a 20-year-old woman was shot in the back were transported to Stroger Hospital, police said. Maybe they meant Stroger instead of stronger, but I'm just reading what they wrote. One said stronger, one said Stroger, but I think it's Stroger Hospital, just so y'all don't think it's me. That's the way they wrote it. That's why I typically don't read from articles like that I'm not familiar with. An 18-year-old woman was shot 3 times in the leg, and a 25-year-old man shot in the arm were transported to Mount Sinai Hospital. A 23-year-old man was shot in the leg and was transported to West Suburban Hospital. A 23-year-old was shot in the hip and transported to Loyola Hospital. All were in fair to good condition. No one, and I repeat, no one is in custody for the mass shootings, and police are investigating. But do y'all expect for them to make any arrest? Hell no. A slew of other shootings also happened across the city. In response to the mass shootings, police department will add officers to the streets who otherwise were supposed to be off duty to the holiday, officials with the mayor's office said on Friday afternoon. Mayor Johnson's office also announced a community rally will be held at 6 p.m. on Friday at East 71st Place and South Woodlawn Avenue for neighbors to gather and show support for one another. From 3:30 to 7 p.m. Tuesday, the city will host an event to provide emergency support services to residents at Fosco Park, 1312 South Racine Avenue. We're devastated by the recent violence that has left our city in a state of grief, and we extend our heartfelt condolences to the families and communities impacted by these recent events, Johnson said in a statement. The city of Chicago is committed to taking every necessary step to work towards a safer city and to support our communities during these challenging times. Last year, 11 people were killed and 62 people were wounded over the 4th of July weekend. To be honest, that would be a lot of people to be dead and be shot in a big city in an entire 12-month span, let alone on a holiday weekend. Let's talk about these guns. Then we'll talk about the mom. Should we blame the guns in Chicago? Or should we blame the dumbasses with the guns in Chicago? People are quick to villainize the tool as opposed to the fool. Ooh, we might have to save that. I want y'all to remember that I said that. That's another AFC hashtag. We want to villainize the tool, but not the fool. How is that? Why is that? And I'm asking y'all to stop doing that. Blame the fools who are committing the crimes. Maybe that might get you somewhere. The people who y'all keep voting in because of their skin color, maybe you should stop voting like that. The people who aren't getting you anywhere, get them out of office. Get somebody else. If you keep going one direction and it's not working, whether it be Republican or Democrat, maybe you need to go the other direction. Try something different. You know what they say about doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result makes you what? It's the fool, not the tool. If y'all ever hear anybody say that, I don't know how many people we got watching, anybody y'all hear say that, I want y'all to tell them that they got it from the AFC podcast. That is now my saying that I just made up as of July the 6th of 2024. It ain't the fool. It ain't the tool. It's the fool. Stop blaming the tool and blame the fool. The mother who shielded her child from the gunshots. She has 100% of my respect. First of all, if you're there and you're living there, then you're there. You're already in the shit. I'm asking for people, if you care about your kids, y'all might have to consider moving. I love Chicago. I wouldn't love it this damn much if my kid is in danger all the damn time. Let's get back to this mother. And I'm glad to at least see at least this many people cared. At least this many people showed up. We've seen a lot less people show up. It's like the spoon makes you fat. That is a wonderful analogy. I love that you said that in the chat. Thank you. Let's talk about this lady. How many times have I said on my channel that I hate seeing these parents not put their lives in front of these bullets to protect their children, and they use the excuse, I was scared for my life. And they didn't think to try to protect their children and put their children in front, or put themselves in front of their children to protect them. Put their children first and protect your children. And this woman did that to the T to try to save her child's life. And for that, I have 100% respect, because I believe that all parents should be willing to defend their children with their lives, not the other way around. Don't have my kid go defend me and then say, your kid was a hero. No, we don't want our children being heroes. We want the adults to be the heroes and heroines, or heroines, however you say it. Parents should be there to protect their children. Last but not least, do y'all think death would stop if there were no guns? Would death stop if there were no guns? Because if it wouldn't, and there would still be death with people running over each other with cars, like I'm going to talk about here in another story, with people stabbing each other with knives, with people stomping each other when they get into fights and stomp their head into the ground, and beat each other with bats and sticks and pots and whatever the hell else they can find, jumping people, throwing little babies out of windows. Those situations didn't involve guns. So if that wouldn't stop the death, then we need to stop blaming the tools and blame the fools and hold the fools accountable. If you can't do it with these rallies and these community leaders, then maybe you should consider, like what Donald Trump said, what Barack Obama said, and we're going to bring in the National Guard and wipe these cities out and wipe the criminals out and bring the National Guard in. You didn't want that. Maybe you should consider it. Instead of being a prisoner in your own city, living like it's Beirut. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. If y'all would do me a favor, I know a lot of people, where's Black Lives Matter at? Like, where are the Black Lives Matter rallies at? Y'all do me a favor and please hit that thumbs up and share this video. Leave a comment. I know it's going to trigger a lot of people, but no pun intended. It's going to get a lot of people's pennies in a bunch. But let's have the conversation, okay?
Mass shooting on Chicago's South Side. 2 women killed and 2 children critically injured. Tia has been in the neighborhood talking to investigators and neighbors. Tia, what do we know about the victims?
We're outside of Comer Children's Hospital right now, Sylvia. What I can tell you is July 4th will never be the same moving forward for this family. This is definitely a time where families get together and they celebrate. But sadly now, this family is planning for 2 funerals. We know a woman in her 20s is now dead. Her aunt in her 40s is now dead. And 2 of her children are here at Comer Children's Hospital fighting for their lives. A 3rd child, age 8 years old, is also fighting for his life. He's related to this family, and as of right now, what we know is this all started with just a knock on their front door.
I honestly can't even tell you what I thought was going on.
Frank Mixon was home visiting from college when he woke up to gunfire.
I just woke up, went upstairs, and I just saw a massacre of everything, you know. So it was very vivid for the mind for me to just see everything. It was crazy.
His mother, Nikisha Strong, in her 40s, was killed. Mixon says she worked hard. She was an employee of FedEx.
My mom, like, such an amazing woman. No one ever showed me how to go get in and work hard like her. Working day and night, take care of kids who weren't hers.
Described as the person in the family that would get everyone together here at her home in the 7100 block of Woodlawn. A neighbor reported seeing men knocking on the door at around 6:15 Thursday morning. Those knocks turned into gunfire.
2 vehicles pulled up into the area. Multiple subjects exited those vehicles and fired at this residence. Multiple shell casings were recovered from both a rifle and a handgun at the scene.
Chicago police tell us also killed was a woman in her 20s. The family says her name is Capri Edwards, described as Strong's niece by family. She shielded her 1-year-old child. That child is now safe. Her 5- and 7-year-old sons are here at Comer in critical condition. Their cousin, an 8-year-old, was also shot and is in critical condition. The people responsible for this shooting have not been tracked down. As for Mixon, he was surrounded by his high school coaches. The now college basketball player says his mother would want him to stay focused and keep going.
What kills me the most, just like, we was just together like 2 or 3 days ago talking about me going to another school or whatnot for basketball on another scholarship as well. While my mom was here, she just gonna tell me the same thing, like, take it on the chin, keep going. Like, my mom was one of the most wonderful women you could ever meet in your life. Definitely the love of my life for sure.
So again, you heard Mixon's story that he was in the house when all of this unfolded. Luckily, he was able to walk away from this, but tragically, several of his family members were shot. 2 of them, as we've reported, now dead, including his mother. As for what Chicago police are doing right now, they are still scouring that neighborhood, looking for surveillance video. They say 2 vehicles are involved in all of this. They're hoping to give us an update here shortly to let us know a little bit more information. But as of right now, if you know anything,
Let's just go to the next video, man. It's ridiculous.
Liz, city leaders as well as communities.
We really want to send a...
Somebody in the chat said maybe they need to just stop celebrating holidays. Stop being outside on holidays. I'm wondering what kind of dispute, argument could you have gotten into to justify this level of shooting and murder and death? That's why I just say I could never see myself visiting Chicago, the whole damn state. I couldn't see myself visiting. I just don't understand how you can value life that little. An argument and everybody has to die, your whole lineage, everybody?
You can hear the pain in their voices.
We really want to send a message to Chicago. Let's stop it.
Spilling out in a community rally at 71st Place and Woodlawn, where Thursday morning a barrage of gunfire tore through this Grand Crossing home.
I would never in my life in a million years would think that I would see my mom laying down the way she was.
And leaving 19-year-old Frank Mixon rushing from the basement to find his mother, Nikisha Strong, his little brother, 7-year-old Bryson Orr, and his cousin, Capri Edwards, shot and killed in what police say was a targeted attack stemming from an earlier incident that's still under investigation.
Stemming from an earlier incident. So what was the earlier incident? So you mean to tell me that these women went out and did a drive-by on somebody else? Or their words hurt somebody, or one of their words hurt somebody, and now they needed to die for their words?
I didn't know when my last time was with them. I thought I had years. I don't have nobody to call when I need to spend time with my mother. I don't have anybody like that anymore.
When he got upstairs, he says he found Edwards shielding her 1-year-old baby from the gunfire. Her 2 other young sons, he says, were also shot and remain critically hurt in the hospital.
I don't know why somebody would come in the house and shoot somebody with a kid in their hand.
But in the wake of such a tragedy, there's a glimmer of hope with the city's Operation Wake Up rally aiming to do just that.
The best thing you can do for this community is turn them people in.
Awakening a community to seek justice for a grieving family. And to stop the heartache and bloodshed.
We will work our fingers to the bone until we find these people.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're going to just have a handful of nubs.
Across the city, roughly 54 people have been struck by gunfire and 11 have been killed.
I still need more cars. 1314 West Hastings for a large crowd. I've got 3 people shot right now over at that location. I still need more cars.
Just after midnight on Friday, Chicago police responded to a shots fired call in the Abla Homes housing complex in Little Italy near Troop and Hastings. According to CPD, there was an exchange of gunfire between 2 unknown suspects who then ran from the scene. 8 people were shot, 5 women between the ages of 18 and 74, and 3 men between 23 and 36 years old. Injuries range from gunshot wounds to the leg, head, back, knee, and groin. 7 of the victims were taken to the hospital, and all are expected to be okay. Then, just before 2 in the morning, police found 6 people shot on the west side on the 100 block of South Menard. CPD says there was a shootout between 2 unknown suspects who then took off. 2 women ages 18 and 20, a 15-year-old boy, and 3 men between the ages of 23 and 25 were transported to different hospitals and are expected to recover.
Up to 4 people shot.
Up to 4 people, 10-4. Again, one ticket states it's 1 person is shot inside of 7122 Woodlawn.
But things turned deadly for some in the greater Grand Crossing neighborhood on the 4th of July. Police were busy yesterday after 5 people were shot in a home near 71st and Woodlawn around 6:15 in the morning. Neighbors say men in ski masks got out of 2 vehicles and fired into the home, killing 24-year-old Capri Edwards, who was shielding her 1-year-old child. Her aunt, 46-year-old Nakisha Strong, also died. 3 sons of the victims, ages 5, 7, and 8, were also shot and were in critical condition at Comer Children's Hospital. The 8-year-old boy has died. Police believe the shooting stems from some sort of personal dispute. Strong's 19-year-old son was awakened after gunfire blasted through their home and describes what he saw when he went to check things out.
I just woke up, went upstairs, and I just saw a massacre of everything, you know. So it was very vivid for the mind for me to just see everything. It was crazy.
Let's come together. Let's stop it all. We know it's senseless. We hear it every day. But if we don't work together, it won't stop.
Work together and do what, though, specifically? You got to be specific. We got to work together, stop the violence, put the guns down, just these colloquialisms that we love to just say, but there's no plan of action. They're not here. It's just words at this point.
You can wake up 5 in the morning, decide to go run in somebody's house and do something like this, and don't think that ain't gonna affect nobody or you. I don't even think.
And earlier, police said they were looking into this as a possibility that this all stemmed from a personal dispute. So far, no arrests have been made. And the family in the hospital tonight waiting on the boy's conditions.
CBS 2's Sharday Gray is live at Comer Children's Hospital where she spoke to the family. Sharday?
Yeah, Charlie and Megan, both families are devastated because they lost a woman and her niece due to gun violence. Those bullets took 2 lives and injured 3 boys.
I feel like I'm in a movie or something right now because I just can't believe this happened.
Marquita Scott is in disbelief knowing her daughter, 24-year-old Capri Edwards, was shot and killed in a mass shooting early this morning.
I'm numb right now.
Numb because not only is her daughter dead, but her grandchildren, 5-year-old Scotty and 8-year-old Colby, were shot as well.
And we just praying for the best for my grandkids. It's going to be hard to let them know their mother's no longer here.
Edwards' aunt, 42-year-old Nakisha Strong, was also killed. Her 7-year-old son, Bryson, was shot.
She was a very loving person. She always wanted to help any and everybody if they needed help or they didn't have anywhere to go. She always had an open house with them. That's why my daughter was there.
We also spoke to Strong's family, who didn't want to be on camera, who was also inside when the shooting happened just after 6 this morning. One of Strong's sons says several bullets came flying through the window. You can see the holes.
Yeah, I believe it was the younger mother's kid had passed. But those other 2 kids that you just saw the picture of, they're currently in critical condition from what I understand. And we're going to pray that they pull through and they survive. You just don't know what's going to happen.
In the windows of this house, Strong's mother says she's devastated and is praying her grandson will pull through. Police say the shooting happened in the 7100 block of South Woodlawn Avenue, saying this stemmed from an altercation last week and they came back to retaliate. Scott says her daughter had nothing to do with it, and now she's left with her daughter gone and 2 grandchildren fighting for their lives.
So it wasn't random. It was targeted, and she didn't have nothing to do with it. Like, so who did it have something to do with? Maybe a boyfriend, baby daddy? It had to have been somebody, and that's part of what I'm saying. Nobody's going to be honest and just tell the truth. Like, I mean, they don't want to get somebody caught, arrested. So then how does this ever stop?
Scott is calling her daughter a hero for protecting her 1-year-old son.
I say my daughter's a hero because she did what she's supposed to do to protect her kids, and she gave her own life up.
I 100% agree with her, and that is what she was supposed to do. That was the right thing to do. It's a hard thing to do, but it's the right thing to do, is protect the kids first. So I agree. I've been saying that for a long time. That's why I wanted to talk about this story.
To make sure that her children were fine. And I will always love her for that, and I will always just tell her she's my hero.
Scott says Edwards was not only her daughter, but her best friend because they spoke every day through FaceTime.
Now, relatives say Nakisha Strong and her niece, Capri Edwards, were both killed when several armed gunmen targeted the home Strong owned in Chicago's Grand Crossing neighborhood. Neighbors report hearing a barrage of gunfire around 6:15 this morning. That's when police say several ski mask-clad gunmen opened fire on the house in the 7100 block of South Woodlawn. Police say the attack was targeted and stems from an earlier incident.
Investigation reveals that 2 vehicles pulled up into the area. Multiple subjects exited those vehicles and fired at this residence. Multiple shell casings were recovered from both a rifle and a handgun at the scene. That investigation is ongoing.
All I seen was 2 people jumping off the porch. After I heard the shots, I was looking out the window. Thought it was fireworks.
Now, 2 of Edwards' children, a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, were also critically wounded. Family members say she shielded her 1-year-old child from the danger. An 8-year-old cousin of the kids was also critically wounded. Now, concerned relatives did come here to the scene and were, of course, devastated after learning about the violence. They left without comment.
My heart bleeds for this community, which is a relatively quiet community and isn't really used to this sort of violence, and I pray that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, that's kind of a sentiment that most of the residents here in the area who say that this block, despite what goes on around the area, this block is relatively quiet. Now, police say that they did recover shell casings from 2 separate weapons, one being a handgun, the other being a rifle. At this hour, they're continuing to gather evidence and pursue whatever leads they have. But right now, no one in custody and no arrests have been made as a neighborhood and a community remains devastated by this attack on this family.
Watch breaking news on YouTube. Subscribe to ABC7.
And look, I'm going to tell you guys, I really wish they would start telling the real story. What was this over? Like, I don't think that you can get to a real solution unless you can start getting some real answers. And that way that you can really, really, truly understand what actually is sparking this stuff to happen. And then from there, you can start having some real preventative measures put in. Get these people arrested, get the people charged, get them off your streets. But until then, I don't see this slowing down anytime soon. Just keep the babies in your prayers and just the people that if you give a damn, it might be time to move. I hate to say that because I know that y'all love home, what you consider to be home. But if it's going to present a danger to you and your family and your kids, you can't stay. You literally can't. Don't be a prisoner in your own home. So RIP to the lost souls that were lost in this story. To the other children who are in critical condition, just keep them in your prayers. Okay? Thank you.